I got nothing but a dream.
Wow.
And I had a multi-million-dollar networking Rolodex.
And there you get some guys putting in $500,000, some putting in $1,000, but the little guy can finally get involved.
I have been in such incredible international fashion shows around the world.
Trying to give children and parents a healthier option, an option to, incorporate some nutrients.
I'm Richard Gearhart.
And I'm Elizabeth Gearhart. Well, you just heard some excerpts from our fabulous guests on our show today. So stay tuned. We had a just rockin' show.
This is Richard Gearhart.
And Elizabeth Gearhart.
Welcome to Passage to Profit, the show that's all about small businesses, entrepreneurs, and the intellectual property that helps them flourish. On this evening's show, we have Sharon Smith-Akinsankya, who is the CEO of Ray Mackenzie Group, an award-winning diversity firm, and she's also the author of Colorful Competitive Strategies to Attract and Retain Top Talent of Color. After her, we also have, and our executive spotlight is Douglas Borthwick, who is the Chief Marketing Officer of INX Services, a platform to trade cryptocurrencies and security tokens.
And then we have two amazing presenters, two of my favorite things, jewelry and food.
Those are two of your favorite things.
So Anna Carolina Valencia, and she says it so much better than I do, has this incredible jewelry line. I went to her website. I was literally like just going crazy. And then Carolyn Carrington will be our next presenter. And I was like getting hungry looking at what she has on her site.
It's like IHOP on steroids. So
it's better than I wouldn't even compare this to IHOP, but anyway. So they'll be coming up.
All right. Well, that sounds good. So what's on the table tonight for IP in the news?
Well, Apple just got socked. A huge verdict. Yeah.
They are a very aggressive company when it comes to intellectual property. And so the lesson that I think you can take away from these cases is that you should protect your IP because it gives you something to fight with against the Goliaths. And that there's a lot of tech companies out there who sort of act first and, take the position that if you want to get me, you have to sue me. And what happened in this case was that a smaller company called
Personalized Media Communications.
Right. And stole their Fair Play software.
No, Apple stole their Fair Play software.
Right. Apple stole their Fair Play software. And so they got sued and they got quite a large judgment for patent infringement.
And what was interesting was Apple went and did all these little legal tricks and all this stuff. And then it went in front of a jury. And when it went in front of a jury,
the jury found for against Apple and awarded them $308 million. So the point is that good lawyering can make a big difference, but most of the time when these cases get to the jury, they exercise common sense. And that's really where the smaller companies can really take advantage of their situation. And so it's just a good lesson that a jury is really important in intellectual property, even when it's the David versus Goliath type of cases.
Trademark Terror. I remember this from about a year ago when the pandemic started. It was all about the masks.
Right.
And this guy bought a bunch of 3M masks and tried to sell them and acted like he had the approval of 3M.
Right.
And he was selling them for 6 times what he should have been.
A terrible thing to do during a pandemic.
So 3M sued him,
right, for deceptive trade practices. And the court found for the 3M and they basically shut the guy down. But that's not the whole story.
Right. So it says so the rest of the story, which makes this really interesting, was this poor guy in New Jersey. His name was Bob Drake, had this company called Performance Screen Supply. And the company that made that was trying to sell the masks saying they were a 3M distributor was called Performance Supply. So people Googled Performance Supply and Performance Screen Supply came up. And so they're like, oh, this is the bad guy. Okay, so they went after this guy. And so Mid-Jersey News had to put out this article. Look, we brought you this story about the mass, but since that time, internet sleuths, haters, armchair quarterbacks, and social media troublemakers took out their hate on a business in the same town with a similar sounding name.
Right. So same business, the same town, very similar names. And the performance supply got tanked by the court and basically run out of business, whereas performance screen supply also took a hit. And I guess the moral of the story is, well, there's not much that really could have been done under those circumstances because everything happened so quickly. We were in the middle of a pandemic, but it's an unfortunate situation, points to how important it is to make sure that your brand is distinctive from other brands. So kind of an odd story, and we feel sorry for the business owner, Performance Screen Supply, since he actually had to take a pretty big hit on this.
Well, the New York Times did an article about it. It got that bad.
So, and we're doing it here on Passage to Profit to make sure that everybody knows Performance Screen Supply is not the culprit here, and hopefully he can get his business back on track. So with that said, it's time for Richard's Roundtable, and I'd just like to take a minute to ask our guests if you have any thoughts or questions about what you just heard, and whether or not you have any questions about intellectual property in general. And so Sharon, nice to see you. Thank you for being here. And we're just wondering if you have any comments.
Nice to see you too, Richard. Yeah, I mean, I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, headquarters of 3M, big 3M fan. And so I remember the story, and I was really happy that Mike Romans, who's the CEO of 3M, and the team did what they needed to do to shut that down, so that was a proud moment. With regard to trademarks, and intellectual property, that's all we have, as small business owners. And we have to really make sure that we, take the time, learn what we need to learn to make sure that we're protecting it. So, the mark for my business, it's a pain in the butt because you want to be working on your business, right? You really want to get out there and sell, but you got to make sure that you're protected. And, so kudos to that small company who went and fought, for their intellectual property. And I'm trying to keep mine intact as well. And it's a process, but you got to get your trademarks, you got to get your registrations, and I'm all about it.
Well, thank you for that. And, the better known you become, the better your reputation, the more powerful your brand becomes, the bigger the target you are, right? Because people are looking for ways to capitalize on all the wonderful things that you've done and the business that you've built. And so,
absolutely.
And that's why intellectual property is so important.
Absolutely. We were just having a conversation about that, yesterday, like how to, should we put these things in a revocable trust versus this, all of these conversations that you have to have, as you think about succession planning and whatnot. So it's a thing. It's a real thing.
It really, yeah. Douglas, do you have any thoughts or comments?
Well, I agree 100% that when you start a company, you got to do the boring things first, and that's building the foundation. If the foundation that you have for your company is built on sand, the company's going to absolutely collapse. Yeah. And so, it's important to have trademarks, but what's more important is that you create that foundation from day one. And I think a lot of folks say the first thing I should do is actually sell something and get money in the door, and that's wrong. The first thing the entrepreneur should do is actually set up the company, make sure they've got a tax ID, and then also make sure that all of the names that they're using aren't being used by someone else. Because the last thing you want to do is build a brand on someone else's name and then find out a couple of years later that you've walked down the wrong hole. So I think that you've got to make sure you've got a great foundation. It's great to hear the David versus Goliath stories. Always good to hear. And I think that, it's important that the little guy wins now and again. And when you go up against Apple's lawyers, I'm sure it's not a joy. I'm sure it's absolutely painful.
No.
But you know what? Some people, they have that intestinal fortitude to move forward and to go there. And when you build the right foundation, you can do that.
That's, I'm going to ask you both to become honorary IP professionals, because what you just said was really fantastic, and it's great. We preach that, but it's also good to hear it from experienced business professionals too, because that's really great advice. And we can certainly cite a lot of cases where it hasn't been done that way, and it has caused major problems, down the road. So Ana Carolina Valencia Ramirez, joining us from Colombia. Do you have any thoughts or comments on the stories?
Well, no, I'm a little bit curious because I have my brand, for example, trademark in Colombia, but I'm just starting working on have the trademark in the United States, because I've been just start working on getting into the US market. So what I have heard or what I have learned is that when your brand, it's your own name, it's a little bit easier. So you are the expert, so maybe you can tell me more about that.
So if the brand is your name, it's actually a little bit more challenging, because your name has to become distinctive in the United States. And so it means it has to be more than, you have to be known for something. And clearly your jewelry line is, it's a fantastic business. And so it would likely be possible that you could trademark your own name, and you would be able to receive trademark protection in the US. So it's something that you should consider if the US market is a major one. Jewelry especially, there's a lot of knockoffs and counterfeiting. And so as your business expands and you get to the point where you feel like that kind of protection is necessary in the US, it's something you should discuss with an IP professional. So, and our last guest, Caroline, what are your thoughts and comments?
Well, I think it's a great idea to trademark your brand. My company was registered under Colorful Eats, and I seek out my attorney. I wanted to trademark, and she advised me that it may not be acceptable because on social media is hashtag eats and it may be too popular. So I had to come up with a different name. And after 3 months of researching Kickerfeast, it came up with the name Kickerfeast. And I just thought of it, kick off your lunch, breakfast, and dinner with a feast of pancakes. And I went right away and got it trademarked. I will tell small business owners to spend the money on legal advice. I know we want to do everything ourselves, but sometimes one word could make us liable in the future for substantial amounts. So it's very important to at least spend that money on legal counsel and make sure it's done right the first time.
You bring up a really great point. Thank you, Carol Ann. And it is important to see what trademarks are already out there, as you said, and also differentiate yourself with your name. I love Kickerfeast. I think that's a really great name. So congrats.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Kenya, do you have a comment?
I have more of a question for you, and I've heard some of the same theme from everyone else, but what are some of the common mistakes that you see, Richard, when someone comes to you for a trademark or a patent for the first time?
So insofar as trademarks go, they launch without doing a trademark search to see who else might have the same trademark. So you might be running your business locally on the East Coast, but a California firm may have gotten a federal trademark. And then once you become prominent, they say, hey, you're using our mark for the same goods and services. And so not checking before you go is a mistake. And really a trademark costs about $2,500 with Gearhart Law from start to finish, which includes the government fees, the filing fees. It's an expense, but it's not an outrageous expense considering how much you would spend later if something were to go go wrong. So I would say that's, one of the most common things. And then people want descriptive marks that are really describe what they're doing. And so they're choosing the right word that will not be too close to what you're doing is important. So that's why, again, when you're selecting your brand, you want to make sure that you contact a trademark professional so that the application can be filed in the right way and maximize your chances of getting the mark. So we're on to the next segment of our show. And Sharon, we've already heard from you. You've done fantastic work over the years.
Thank you.
You're an author.
Thank you.
You're really getting companies to see the light and giving them advice on how to advance, making sure that minorities get proper credit and attention. So tell us about your business and how you got started and what were some of the challenges that you faced.
Well, thank you for having me. My business is the Ray Mackenzie Group, and we are a diversity, equity, and inclusion marketing firm. And what we do is we work with corporations and we help them position themselves in the marketplace to build stronger, more authentic relationships with people of color and to be able to attract top talent of color. And I'm also the founder of a proprietary technology called peopleofcolorcareers.com. And that's a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week solution for corporations to connect with and have an avenue to create a diverse talent pool by connecting online with top talent of color. And so that is, and obviously we need that because our workforce is changing, right? Our demographics are changing. And we all know what's coming down the pike, right? In 2042, where we will be a majority minority nation and companies are just not really ready to compete in a way to make sure that they're increasing racial inclusivity at all levels of the corporate structure. The numbers are just dismal. So what we're doing is trying to solve that problem and helping to shave some time off of helping corporations find that top talent so that they can maintain their competitive edge and also give Black professionals and other professionals of color a direct access to help knock down some of those barriers to be able to speak directly to recruiters who can help them land their dream careers. So that's what that's all about. But I didn't start that way. It started with an idea and a dream in 1997 that I need to do something to make some real change in my own backyard. And my mom said, listen, you can walk around complaining, soaking up oxygen, or you can be a part of the solution. So that's when I decided, that I could make some real change by using my gift of being able to help companies really get this right. And then, so we started that out in 1997. And then 2008, we all know what happened there. There was a recession. And I lost everything, and I lost my home. I lost my car. The first budgets that were cut was the diversity, equity, and inclusion budget. Mm-hmm. So me, my mom, and my daughter were bouncing from sofa to sofa. I got nothing but a dream. Wow. And I had a multi-million-dollar networking Rolodex. I had taken care of my relationships over the years. And a colleague of mine from a client at Target called me up and said, listen, we're not coming back right now, Sharon. We're not going to be your client right now because we don't know what the heck is going on with this recession. But we think you can make a real difference by running a nonprofit, helping them raise money to help low to moderate income kids get to and through college. And you can do that to get back on your feet. And I'm like, oh my God. But anyway, because I wasn't have a plan to get a job. But the point is that my relationships, my networking ability helped really save my career, save my life, give me a second shot, give me an opportunity to feed my kid. So that was a rough spot. But because of the networking skills, it helped get me over that hump to put me in a position to be able to relaunch my business.
Great.
And so that's that. So that's sort of that's the rough of it.
What a powerful story. And we're so glad you're here and that you made it. And
yes,
it just really points to the power of having relationships. And to do that, you have to be a good person, right? You have to be a person worth having a relationship with.
I agree with that. One of the things that I teach is that we have to be genuinely interested in other people. So it's not about taking. We need to be in a position to, not only receive value from those relationships, but add value. So if you have that servant mentality, you're going to be just fine. And I'm so glad that my mom taught me that, over the years. It was born out of, being Black in a poor neighborhood, her teaching me how to actually meet governors and senators and, as she would put it, good white folk. So to make sure that you can make it in this nation. And she taught me the importance of being genuinely interested in other people and really learning about them and what they're happy about, what they're sad about, and create authentic relationships. And that's where it came from. And I'm grateful for it. And it's carried me a long way for nearly 30 years.
Well, so that is amazing. And so you help people of color advance in their careers, get the right jobs. And since relationships are so important, do you have to coach them on how to interact with the other people in the workplace in a way that will move them forward? I mean, we all need that, quite honestly. Like as a woman, I faced, some barriers when I was in the chemical industry.
Sure.
So how do you actually help these people? Like, what do you do?
So with the platform, professionals of color are members of the platform. They go online, they upload their resume, they create their profiles, and then they're constantly getting good advice and information from me on a regular basis because they're members. And really what we're talking about is just the power of stepping up, following up, and understanding what questions to ask and nailing that elevator pitch, no matter what level of work that where you are now or where you're trying to get to, whether it's entry level or executive level. You have to understand how to present yourself and how to make sure that other people know exactly what it is that you want. In this case, recruiters. You also have to understand the importance of posture. And I don't just mean a straight back. See, when you understand your position in the world, and that is that as a top professional of color, you're in the catbird seat. You want to understand and be choosy about what companies and corporations you want to work with. Do they align with your values? Do they see things the way you see them? What does their diversity look like in the C-suite? What is their CEO saying in the news? What do they stand for? What are they doing around corporate social responsibility? So I coach on what questions to ask and how to stand up straight and have the right posture when you're reaching out to that recruiter. Because on my platform, you can talk directly to the recruiters. There's no middle people. And they are committed to making sure that you have a shot at getting more information about the career opportunity for them to be able to advocate for you and guide you through to the next level. So my coaching with professionals come once you're a member, throw the back end videos and emails and newsletters and sometimes one-on-one conversations, but we have thousands of professionals on the platform. So I'm not able to do that as much as I have in the past. And then we also do the same thing for employers. I'm like, wait a minute, this is a two-way street. Who do you think you are? We have choices. So I also make sure they understand what their posture should be and that you need to be genuinely interested in the professionals on the platform and really be respectful and know that they don't have to choose you. It's like dating. They really don't, so that's what we do.
I think that's a great great situation. We were working with a recruiter not too long ago, and this was the first one that actually took the time to ask a lot of deep questions about me, about the firm, about the type of candidate. And you get so many recruiters that are they're just getting resumes and sending them back and forth, and they don't ask the right questions. And so So people, the fit doesn't necessarily work. And
That's right.
I can see where there would be work needed on both sides of the equation in order to make the right connections and give the professionals, every chance and make sure that it's a good fit for everyone. And I think if you're just hiring to hire somebody for some reason, that's not an acceptable situation, right?
Yeah.
It has to be a mutually beneficial relationship.
There's no question. I mean, this is about expanding our narrow networks. In my book, Colorful, I talk about the importance of really stretching. You see, what happens is we hire people that we know because it's safe, right? And so that's why we end up with a lot of homogenous workplaces. And as a Black professional and other professionals of color, it's tough to get access, because generationally we don't have those relationships. And so we're trying to get that access, get that foot in the door, get that seat at the table. And so what my platform does is allow us to really expand those relationships and expand those networks. So when that professional is talking to the recruiter, not only do they get to know them, they get to talk to them about who else in the organization would be helpful, as they move along their career journey. Same way with the recruiter, be like, oh, you, Sharon, you may be overqualified for this role, but I know you have people in your network that you can send to me. Right. Because I am open to receiving that information, having conversations and coffee with others. So it gives us an opportunity to expand those narrow networks as well. And that's so important, to create authentic relationships with people who don't look like you.
Right. So Sharon, do the workplace people get it? The corporations get it? Why diversity is so important? How the group think, like, you really need input from every person you can find on the planet that has a different perspective. Do they understand that, or do you have to teach them that?
I think that, major corporations understand the importance of diversity and inclusion. I think people understand it, but there's been very little action around it, very little. We haven't made that much progress in the last 30 years. And so with the pandemic and George Floyd and other situations that have been happening, people are starting to fast forward and really like, what, we gotta make a change. And the reason why is because consumers are starting to pay attention. Consumers are saying, oh, heck no, I'm not going to be doing business with this company, because they don't have X, Y, or Z. So we're starting to get a lot smarter, as consumers. And so that's forcing our companies to get a little bit faster in moving on this thing called DEI and making sure that there's more professionals of color at all levels of the corporate structure. So yes and no.
Well, that's good. Well, Kenya, I know you have something to say here, Kenya.
I've been nodding profusely this whole time, Sharon. So, I really respect the work that you're doing in this space because it's so needed.
Thank you.
And I think when you think of culture, right, like it's really a mindset. It starts with a mindset and shifting and creating that new narrative. And my question for you is, how can companies start to make that shift, right? Because you made a good point about, there's a lot of chatter, but not a lot of doing. So how can they actually start to make those shift and those changes so that narrative starts to evolve into a better place?
So let me tell you how it starts. So the CEO and the board have to decide. They just have to make a decision. I remember when I worked for Prince, he used to say, Sharon, just stop it. Just decide. Just make a decision. And so once you do that and you decide what you want your workplace to look like, feel like, be about, guess what? Things start to shift. And so it starts at the top because we can't do it at the bottom. So CEOs, board members, CHROs have to get in a room and say, you know what? Enough is enough. We're going to have 2 additional African-Americans on the board. We're going to have 2 Latinos in the C-suite by 2022. It literally is that simple. That's what has to happen. And then you start to get the experts in place that you need to make sure you can execute on those targets and goals. And you absolutely need targets and goals. And that's how the shift happens, when the people at the top start to make it happen.
Interesting. So,
it all comes from the top.
It all comes from the top.
yep,
Yeah.
it rolls downhill, as they say.
Well, or
So-
consumers force you to do it, so it's like, oh my God, so but you don't want that. That's a crisis management. You want to kind of get there on your own.
Right. Well, unfortunately, we're coming to the end of our time. Richard's telling me we could talk about this.
It's gone really
Yeah.
fast.
We could talk about this for a long time, but we'll have more chance to talk during the rest of the show, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we need to go to a break. So you are listening to Passage to Profit, the Inventor Show on WOR 710, the voice of New York, with Richard Elizabeth Gearhart. We will be right back.
And welcome back, everybody, to Passage to Profit. We've had a great segment. I personally feel more educated, and I think I have a better understanding of where we're going as a society, and all of those things are so good. So Sharon, thank you so much. We're now on to Douglas Borthwick, who's the Chief Marketing Officer of INX Services. It's a platform for cryptocurrencies and security tokens, and I hope you explain those things to our audience, Douglas, because you hear those words a lot, but who knows what they actually are.
Well, thank you very much for having me, Richard and Elizabeth. Crypto, I guess you just think of as Bitcoin. Elon Musk today said you can now buy a Tesla with Bitcoin. Now, what we offer is we offer people to trade in Bitcoin and Ethereum, products like that, cryptocurrencies, but at the same time under a very regulated umbrella. There's been a lot of cowboys that have come out and tried to trade crypto and taken your money and ran off into the sunset. And what we wanted to do was really create something that was a little bit different. But on top of that, we wanted to create a cryptocurrency trading platform that the people could be part of. And this is something that's important to entrepreneurs. Normally, if you were to ask anyone here, how do you raise money? And they'll say, well, we raise it from friends and family, a couple of VCs, maybe a private equity company. We went to the SEC with the guy that invented the Jobs Act, a guy called David Wield. And we said, listen, guys, we want to raise money directly from the public through a website to sell an SEC registered security, not a Reg A or Reg D, but a full security, just like Amazon. And we want to sell it to people, regular people, not just rich people like accredited investors, but everyday people. And they laughed at us. They said, go away. We came back with MWE, a big time law firm. We spent $3.5 million in legal fees. We went there with Ernst & Young. We spent 3 years, 950 days, and created for the first time the very first, what's called a security token, which is really just a fancy name for a digital security. But we opened up a website and we said, listen, guys, you want to trade crypto and you want to own part of this platform's profits? Come on in. And people go there every single day, and we can advertise on Twitter. We go out there on Facebook, on Google Ads. We say, guys, if you want to invest in a platform and be part of it, why don't you come on in and you build a community? Every single day, someone learns about us. They hear our story. They see a YouTube video. They listen to a podcast like this. They come in and they join our community. When joining the community, they invest $1,000 minimum. And there you get some guys putting in $500,000, some putting in $1,000, but the little guy can finally get involved. And in the old days, it was only the rich guys that were investing in private equity companies to get into it. If you want to buy into Coinbase, which is a well-known cryptocurrency trading platform, you'll be getting in when it's worth $100 billion.
Wow.
And if you invest with us, you're getting in on the ground floor. And so we've changed the game, and it's really thanks to the Jobs Act and David Wield, who was the vice chairman of NASDAQ that invented this Jobs Act, that allowed you to go directly to the public and raise money and then sell a security, a full security. They got at one point, we'll be able to trade on NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, or certainly on my company's platform, which is called INX. And that's, I guess, the security token side. Think of it just as a digital security that trades 24 hours, 7 days a week in fractional format. Now think about that for a little while. You can invest in a company, but you don't have to be in America to buy it. And it trades 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'd say maybe 2/3 of the world lives in developed economies. They can't afford the average share. The average share in the US is maybe $18. But they want to be part of that American dream. They want to own part of Amazon, part of Nike. They want to be able to buy products. But the stock market's closed in their time zone, or they don't earn anything close to the average share price. With digital securities, with fractional ownership, with 24 hours a day, 7 days a week trading, anyone, anywhere in the world can afford to buy a tiny slice of something and build their own portfolio on the back of it. Now, this is what the blockchain brings. It's not just about Bitcoin and Elon Musk. It's about democratizing investing opportunities for the world. Now,
That
it took
sounds
us
great.
3 years.
So Douglas, let me hop in here and ask a quick question. So if you're an entrepreneur that wants to raise money on the INX platform, what would they do? Or is that possible?
Well, it's possible, but generally the entrepreneur is looking to raise under $5 million. And for something like that, you do what's called a Reg CF, or which is a crowdfunding regulation. And you can do an SEC registered security as a Reg CF or a Reg D. And in that way, you're sort of raising that $5 million. But if you're looking to raise more than that, like let's say $100 million, then you go the whole hog. And that's when you do a full security. But there's, there's other types. There's Reg A, there's Reg A plus. There's many different types of ways of raising money.
So all of this sounds kind of complicated to me, and it sounds great, but it sounds a little bit complex. Where would somebody go to, like, is there an expert someplace, or does your company provide a service for giving advice to people who maybe want to take advantage of some of these features? Or is this really just more like the New York Stock Exchange, where you're buying and selling shares and you're bidding on different coins? Can you help put that into a context?
This is hard to understand for an.
Well, let me give you an extreme example.
Okay.
Let's say you've got a pop star, Taylor Swift. She's got a lot of fans, right? 100 million fans. Or let's say you're a jewelry designer and you've got 10,000 people in your Rolodex that have all signed up on your website. And now you want to raise money. You could go to a bank and they could advise you on how to raise money. You could go to someone who's going to take 10, 15% of whatever money you raise. Or you could set up a website and you could send a tweet out and say, look, guys, I'm selling my music collection, or I'm selling 50% of the profits we make in my company going forward. Do you want to be part of that? And your community will rally around you, and they'll come to that website and they'll buy the security, and it'll be held in digital format on the blockchain. Now, this is huge, because in the old days, you want to raise $100 million, you want to raise $5 million. Guess what? You only get $4 million after the bank's taken their chunk, or the money raiser, as they'll call themselves, takes their piece. Here, the person with the company, can go out there and raise the money from your community, from the people that support you and love your brand and the idea behind it. And you can raise money directly. Now, we've bought a broker dealer called Open Finance. Once that comes under our umbrella, then we'll be able to offer advice to folks. But right now I can't offer securities advice because we don't have the broker dealer behind us. But what I will tell you is things are about to change. The SEC's chairman, Clayton, who was on his way out, who's left since, for the last couple of months, on his way out the door, he said he can see all securities move onto the blockchain. So that means about $75 trillion of market cap is going to move onto the blockchain. And that means that the little guy now can raise money or invest in people's ideas and people they believe in. It's not just for the rich guy anymore.
So Douglas, can I ask you a question? So the closest thing I can think of in my brain, and I don't know a lot about this, is for the people investing in a partial coin. That's almost like a mutual fund, right? Only different. And then for the people that
I think you're confusing. You're confusing coins with securities. A security token is a full security, just like Amazon or Nike. A coin is a digital currency, like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Wow. And so there's two different things. Now you can get a security token, which is really a fancy name for a digital security that trades 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you can get a fractional ownership of that. And what I'm saying is we've created a way for entrepreneurs like all of your panelists here to be able to raise money directly from the public with a full US security. And then people can trade it. Normally you see you see someone raising money and you think your money's lost for 5-10 years. It's gone down this deep hole and you'll never get it back. With security tokens, I could invest in a jewelry collection that's here and invest in the designer because I really believe in that idea and that vision. And I love the pieces. And maybe she says, you know what, if you invest in me, all the people that invest in me on a pro rata basis, I'll give you 30% of the profits we make from this business. I say, that sounds great to me. And me and 100,000 other people that believe in the jewelry designer are going to go out there and talk to everyone on social media and say, you got to check out this jewelry. Why? Because I'm getting a piece of the action now. So she's able to raise money directly from the public and have those public become part of our community and then go out and market it for her on social media to all their friends, this is a way to hyperdrive your project.
Sure, that's a real change in the investing model, and it opens up a lot of possibilities for entrepreneurs and investors. So, Sharon, did you have any questions or comments for Doug?
Doug, so is the brand promise to invest or raise money, like it create a portfolio or both?
Well, my brand promises neither. My brand is the one, we actually created the first ever security token. So we took what was an idea in the Jobs Act and made it into a full security with the SEC. And in doing so, created what the SEC has defined as the new asset class. And this asset class is one that allows entrepreneurs to raise money themselves. I don't even have to be involved in the process.
No, I don't mean you. I'm talking about the company itself. So our
company has two trading platforms, one for the trading of crypto and the other for the trading of security tokens. And these security tokens could be linked to any kind of vision that we're listening to here, or it could be linked to anyone's company that they decide, I'm going to be an issuer of securities. Normally, if you issue a security, you've got to be Nike. You got to be a big company. You think, right, $1 billion company. No, you don't anymore. You could be a $5 million company. So you can list that security on my exchange.
So just to clarify then, you're talking about the new types of securities that are available. INX has a security coin for their trading platform, right? So people can list their new coins on these platforms.
Yeah, we raised money by creating the first ever security token IPO on the blockchain. By doing that, we set a pathway now for all other entrepreneurs that want to do something similar. And then they would list their tokens, their security tokens, on our trading platform. And everyone that's trading crypto on my crypto trading platform, and that could be tens of millions of people, we can introduce them to all of these great projects that are trading on the security token trading platform. Right. So now you've got an audience that I'm bringing to you from my crypto trading, from the guys trading Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they could turn around and say, hey, you know what? I really like this idea that's being pitched to me. I like the idea of this food idea or this jewelry idea. I want to get involved. And now they can for the first time.
Kenya, any questions or comments?
I do have a question. So first of all, I love that your platform is all about inclusivity, because I think that's important and opportunities are important for people. Is there an educational component to your platform for people who are like new in this space, who don't know a whole lot about this, but are interested?
I think the best way to really learn about it, and we've sort of put together some cartoons on YouTube, is on YouTube, there's a channel, INX Limited. And if you go there, there's a set of 5 that really discuss the different ways that entrepreneurs can use security tokens to build a community, to raise money, and ultimately to have many agents for them. Essentially, you're getting a marketing team that's going out there and talking about you all the time. Let's say I'm with peopleofcolorcareers.com and I've got all of these members. And I say to these members, you know what? Every time you bring someone to me, I'm going to give you some tokens. And they say, this is great. I want to bring lots of people to you. I want to bring companies to you too, because I want a lot of these tokens. And then you get another corporation that says, you know what? If you give me enough of these tokens, let's say it's JetBlue, and they say, you give me 25 of these tokens, I'll give 20% off our flights. They're going to say, I want to get these tokens. How do I get these tokens? I talked to a company the other day and they want more people to give blood. And they're going to give people the blood token whenever you give blood. That sounds like a great idea. But what's a blood token worth? Well, if it trades on my exchange and someone buys 20 of these blood tokens, maybe they'll get 10% off at JetBlue. So now suddenly someone's going to come in and say, I want to get 10% off at JetBlue. Let me buy 10 of these tokens, and the price starts moving up. And more people start giving blood because the blood token becomes worth more. And this is corporations helping people with ideas. Now, this is the idea I'm giving there regarding JetBlue and the blood token are examples. They're not actually, JetBlue is nowhere involved in anything here. But what I'm telling you is, this is how we're enabling things, is that you can have an idea. I want more trees planted in this place. I want to do this. I want more African-American entrepreneurs to be hired by different companies. And you do it through security tokens because they get people, there's a return on just the idea.
I want to do the pets and babies token.
Well, look,
that would be very popular.
You could look at Passage to Profit and you could tokenize it. I could say, look, I love you guys. I think you guys are fantastic at doing this. And you're probably getting some sort of residual. I could net present buy the residuals and put that into a trust. We could tokenize the trust. And then everyone that's ever been on your show could buy into that trust in a fractional basis. and go out there and talk about how Passage to Profit is the best, source of information for entrepreneurs. And they go out there and push it. And maybe you give up a little bit of your ownership of the residuals coming forward, but now you've found a way to expand your brand in such a way that it's now a hyper brand.
All right. Well, let's
That's
talk
incredible.
after the show. That sounds like a great idea.
It's literally Passage to Profit coming to life.
Yeah, we're passing to our profit.
Yeah, we're in your corner.
So real quick to Kenya's question though, the education component. So do we just speak to our financial advisors about
Your financial advisor
to get the
no
advice?
idea. They've got no idea about this.
So
And they
you
will
do.
for a
So
while.
you don't have the. So who do I go to talk about this opportunity?
Well, you'd come to me, and then I'll work you through it. But also, if your listeners want to get an idea of what is a security token or a digital security, again, go to YouTube, look up INX Limited, and there's a set of 5 videos. Actually, they're in Japanese and English, but watch the videos, and you can get a sense of how you can use your followers to raise money. Once you've got an idea there and you think you can use that with your brand, I'll help you with the tokenomics of how exactly you should structure something. And then I'll help you and introduce you to different folks that can help you along the way. And so, look, right now, we're the very first ever. So it's not like you've got a lot of examples out there,
Right.
but the first ever is working. We're raising a considerable amount of money online with our website, and we're cutting out all the middlemen that used to take all these little pieces.
That sounds great. Unfortunately, we have to leave now, but welcome to the future, everyone.
Right,
and this is all stuff that we're going to have to know about going
Well, it's
forward.
making a lot of sense with some of the things our son is 29 and he's buying these tokens somewhere. And we're kind of like, what are you like? It's
He's
a coin.
making
It's
money.
like,
So
yeah, he's making money. It's like, so anybody can make a coin. Anybody can do it. So you really, it's bringing some structure around it. I am going to watch your video on YouTube.
yeah, that sounds great. So thank you for joining us, Douglas. And where can people reach you again? You mentioned your website, but why don't
Best place is to go to the website, go to inx.co.
Welcome to the future, everyone. This this has been great. We'll be right back with more Passage to Profit after this message. Welcome back, everybody, to Passage to Profit with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart. We're now on to our Power Move segment with Kenya Gibson. Kenya, who do you have lined up for us this evening?
Well, we're going to talk about Marion Croix. She is the VP of Engineering at Google and the inventor of over 200 patents. I think that's crazy. I only have one, so I feel very, very far behind her. But she was actually the creator of Voice over Internet Protocol and Text to Donate, right? So she is kind of set the stage for all these non-for-profits and their ability to be able to receive donations via text. And then she realized that it was possible to transmit voice traffic over the internet and combine voice and data together all on one network. So it sounds like the beginning of things of like Clubhouse and all these other apps that are out there now that have kind of like taken her initial idea and taken it to the next level. And she actually has been inducted into the Women Technology Hall of Fame. So I wanted to honor her today because I just thought her story was so interesting and so powerful and motivating because I got to get my patents up.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you're slipping, Kenya. No, we all got to get our patents up. That's amazing.
That's an amazing story. And, 200 patents is a lot of patents. So, it sounds like that what she's working on is very techie engineering-ish, right? So, congratulations to her for, doing it in what's sometimes thought of as a man's field. So
I certainly hope she's wealthy. She better have been rewarded for this.
That's true. If she's not, she should go out on her own and make her own fortune. So
well, she's a VP at Google. I'm sure she's doing all right.
She's doing
too.
okay. Yeah. Okay. Elizabeth, tell us about what's been going on with Fireside.
Well, so for those of you who don't know, so Fireside is a video directory of small businesses. It's a YouTube channel and a website. And I want it to be like the Wikipedia of small business online, where people, if they're looking for a small business person, they go and watch a short video of them. I'm going to make some changes to it as I'm working on the website now. But now after hearing what Douglas had to say, I really want to talk to him because basically what I'm doing is I'm getting everybody to do videos. I'm doing the interviews myself, but I'm going to ask people to place their videos on the site. So I think there could be a way to use his platform with Fireside, because what Fireside has is just a ton of people that are coming on that want people to watch their videos. So it sounds like it could be a pretty good fit.
I'd buy a Fireside coin in a minute.
I could make them really pretty.
Okay. Maybe we could hire Anna Carolina for designing the coin, right?
They're not coins, guys. They're tokens.
Okay.
If it's related to a company, it's a token. A security.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you for that clarification.
Probably doesn't actually look like anything. It's just a little piece of code or something, right?
All right. Well, so much more to learn for that. And so on to our first presenter.
So Anna, welcome. Anna has an incredible jewelry line. Anna, could you please say your whole name? She's in Colombia, South America. Could you please say your whole name for our listeners?
Oh, hi, everybody. My name is Ana Carolina Valencia. And yes, I'm located in Cali, Colombia, South America.
Well, greetings to South America and Colombia. Tell us about your jewelry line and what inspired you to start.
Well, I started my jewelry line like about 9 years ago. I used to design clothing, and then I used to own stores here in my city where I live. And like it was like 9 years ago, that I decided to restructure and reorganize all my company and all my business and focus only on my jewelry line. And as you just said before, sometimes entrepreneurs, we have an aha moment or something that just push you to go and do something different. And I think that moment for me was when I have my baby. So I became a mother, and I decided that I wanted to have more time to be with my baby. And I also decided that I wanted to have a line. I have always loved to design. I have always loved jewelry, and I love creating, and I love fashion. So at that moment, I decided that I want to have a brand, and that I have to have a fashion line that I could sell not only in Cali, not only through my stores, but also around the world. And it has been an incredible journey during all these years, because also technology, and all this social media has allowed me to, just from a small city as I am in Cali, let people get to know my brand has been really a wonderful journey, because I've been visiting different countries. I've been in the United States, I've been in Middle East, and I have been in such incredible international fashion shows around the world. And that has been a very passionate and wonderful journey with my jewelry brand.
So Anna, your line is pretty high end and beautiful. So how do you find these clients for a high-end jewelry line?
Well, this is actually, it's a contemporary jewelry line. It's like it's like the in-between fashion jewelry, and fine jewelry. When I talk about fine jewelry, I'm talking about diamonds and gold and everything. My jewelry, it's a contemporary creative jewelry. That's how I call it. And it's made in bronze, and it's gold plated with 24K gold. And it is also handmade. It's handmade by artisans and jewelers here in Colombia. And actually, we have discovered that this kind of jewelry, women love this kind of jewelry all around the world. I mean, in Colombia, Latin women love that kind of jewelry. At Middle East, women there also love to be adorned a lot. They love big earrings. They love statement earrings. They love big necklaces and chokers. So it has been wonderful to discover that women around the world, we all have this how can I say that, this taste or this desire to adorn ourselves and show our confidence and express our inner beauty and our self-confidence, adorning ourselves. So it has been really nice to let people around the world to get to know our collection.
I mean, I think it all sounds very exciting. How do you go after folks? Now, obviously, I think I just looked at your Facebook page. I think it's in Spanish. How do you go around, because it's such an international collection, how do you go after folks in different countries?
We start going to different international fairs. We start first in Colombia. We have a very important fashion show here in Colombia called Colombia Moda that it takes place in Medellin once a year. And that was like our first platform or show platform where we start getting to know different clients, not only nationally, but also internationally, because here in Colombia, we have an agency, a government agency that also helps entrepreneurs and helps to get to know products from Colombia, get to know outside. That's clear. Yeah. So they invite a lot of international buyers to those kind of fashion shows. And I think that was the first platform. Then we have the opportunity to go to Europe, to Madrid, to another event that was held by the Colombian embassy there, but they also invite a lot of international buyers. And then suddenly by social media, well, we start obviously growing our community by social media, by Instagram and Facebook, and principally by Instagram. And then one day we received this invitation to go to Middle East to a fashion show where they want to show emerging designers all around the world, and I was invited.
Wow.
So I think the lesson here is you just got to put yourself out there.
I was looking at your jewelry line. The pieces are beautiful. What would you say is like some of your inspiration comes from?
Well, actually, my principal inspiration is woman. It's woman empowerment. And also I get a lot of inspiration around all the things that surround me, about my beautiful landscapes. We have a lot of inspiration, tropical inspiration, Latin American inspiration. Our jewelry has a lot of this Latin essence, you know, but definitely my biggest inspiration is woman empowerment. I want women to feel comfortable, to feel self-confidence, and each time they are wearing a beautiful piece of us, statement earrings or a necklace or just a ring. But it's said that accessories and jewelry, it's to adorn your beauty. So I think a woman that feels confidence and then feels comfortable using and adorning herself, it's also showing she is definitely confidence. So that's my biggest inspiration. It's woman empowerment, definitely.
So
Nice.
Are you selling a lot right now? And then we have to wrap up after this question, but are you selling a lot online to people?
After pandemic, after coronavirus, you know, we used to do a lot of wholesale, and we go to different fairs and events to get international buyers, and we used to do a wholesale outside Colombia. But after pandemic, we start, you know, focusing all efforts on our international website and on our e-commerce, and it has been growing our sales through the international website. So it has been a really very nice opportunity. And this is something very important when pandemic and all these thing about coronavirus start last year. Many companies and many designers and the fashion industry was very worried about that. But for us and for me, principally, it was the opportunity to focus on my e-commerce and on my international website. And I think it was the best I could do, because I definitely last year I had really good sales. And the great thing is that I could change, like for before, the 80% of my income was, I 80% wholesale and 20% retail, right? And after after pandemia, we could change that. So right now we have 80% for retail, and we are doing a 20% of wholesale. But the good thing is that 80% of represents more income for me, because we have a better margin. And the other good thing is that now also stores and everything is getting, starting businesses again. So our wholesale is also increasing. Wholesale sales are also increasing again. So it has been an excellent opportunity right now.
Great.
That's
Well,
great.
thank you. Unfortunately, we're out of time. So we'll have to take a break. So,
but yeah, absolutely. But go to Anna Carolina's website. She has some beautiful designs and many, many, many designs to choose from too. So,
and you can still look good on Zoom with her jewelry. So if you're not buying pants these days because you're on Zoom, you can wear the jewelry on the top half. Right.
That's an excellent point. So how can your clients reach you again?
We have our international website. It's www.anacarolinavalencia.com. And we are actually delivering worldwide. We have worldwide shipping. And especially to the United States, you can get your beautiful jewelry piece from Latin America just in 3 to 4 days to your door house. So I hope you want really to have one of our pieces soon in your home.
Well, that's perfect. And thanks again for joining us. And we'll be right back with more Passage to Profit after this message.
Welcome back, listeners. You are listening to Passage to Profit, the Inventor Show with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart on WOR 710. If you just tuned in, you missed some incredible stuff, like future stuff, like beautiful stuff. It's just been a really great mixed show. But our podcast is out tomorrow. You can see us on YouTube as well. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can see our visuals on social media. It's really been a great show so far, but we have one more really awesome person to present. And that is Carol Ann Carrington with Kickerfeast. So welcome, Carol Ann.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
So tell us about your Kickerfeast.
Well, Kickerfeast is a fruit-based and vegetable-based pancake and waffle mix. It's made with 100% fruit powder and 100% vegetable powder. Now, the idea started in 2018 when I had just made some carrot juice. I asked my son, who was 9 at the time, to drink some. He politely declined, but said he wanted pancakes. And I just had a aha moment, and I blended some of the carrot juice into the pancake mix, made him those carrot pancakes. He gobbled them up. And I was like, wow, why is pancake mix in still one flavor, one color? And I was like, why don't we have pancakes in colors and natural flavors? I took my idea to the SBDC. And he said, well, you have to create your own powder mix, because I had used a popular brand. And that became the beginning of transitioning to Kickerfeast.
Wow, what a story. So what flavors of pancakes can your customers choose from?
Well, we have 4 flavors. Blueberry is the most popular flavor. Beet, which is not as well received. Carrot and pumpkin, they're tied. And the uniqueness about our pancake mixes is very simple. You just add water and the color and the flavor pops. So you get a blue for a blueberry pancake. You get a reddish for a red pancake and an orange for carrot and pumpkin. We do not add any preservatives or any coloring to our pancake mix.
But you do add flour, right? So
Definitely. Our ingredients are 7. We have 7 ingredients. I try to make it as clean as possible. I actually started off with organic. And I pursued that. I enrolled in culinary school at night. I spoke to one of my chefs because I was wondering how to cultivate this idea. And he was the one who told me I had to do it through powder and not juice. So he told me how to look at my competitors and request samples from suppliers. And I did that, and I started everything organic. And as I was concocting the recipe, I ran out of one of the main ingredients. So I requested another sample, and the supplier told me, unfortunately, I had received it as an overage of an order. And to receive that organic sample again require a minimum of 7,500 pounds to order.
Well, it's good that you say that, because that's one of the challenges that entrepreneurs face when they need ingredients or things from larger companies. They only want to sell in large quantities. And I remember at one point, Elizabeth was working on a business and getting people to give them small samples so that they could experiment was like pulling teeth. And it was just spending hours on the phone trying to contact people who could help her with this. So,
and they didn't want to. But yeah, so Sharon, do you have a question or comment for Carol Ann?
I think it is absolutely amazing. You know, I am so proud of these pancakes. I can hardly wait to get my hands on these pancakes because I often wanted the same. You know, we had that same mix, right? And I'm like, okay, but you know, we could get more creative than this. But of course, I'm not culinary, and I'm not, you know, I don't like to cook or any of that stuff. But I'm glad that somebody else did it. And I'm so terribly proud. So can you tell me about, you know, how can a person get their hands on these pancakes? Are you doing it online? Are you in stores? Tell me more.
So I'm on Shopify. So you just go to www.kickerfeast.com and you can place an order. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And, you know, we welcome everyone to help promote our website and support small businesses. And it has been a challenge.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, how long did it take you from the time you made the pancakes for your baby to Shopify?
Well, when I made it in 2018, I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to pursue that because my funding is self-funded. So I went into my savings, my 401k and everything. And it was January of 2019. Then I decided, you know what, let me just go full in. So the process was approximately 18 months. And then the pandemic happened because everything is research. You know, you have to follow FDA guidelines. You have to have nutritional labels. You must test for shelf life. You trademark. I did trademark. I sent out samples to friends and family to get critique. I utilized some of the students in my culinary classes and everything. So it was not a simple process at all. And 2019 was all startup costs. So I didn't even qualify for like PPE. You know?
Okay.
Yeah. So it was definitely an interesting process, but the fact that is unique, and I believe that trying to give children and parents a healthier option, an option to, you know, incorporate some nutrients into their diet, you know, because CDC does say that although there have been a slight increase in children eating fruits and vegetables, we are so below the line.
Sure.
You know, so wherever we can pop natural colors and natural flavors, I think we should definitely reach out and give our kids that option.
No question. Are you able to qualify for the second PPP tranche?
No, not at all. Okay. It is, you know, they look at prior revenue. And of course, in 2019, I had no revenue. I had started costs. So it's still a journey. I think I may have to tap into Douglas for some tokens.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, so Douglas, you're up.
How did you come up? I mean, like, I love beetroot, but when you mentioned that one, I had a little wince because I was thinking, wow, that's amazing. Like going that stretch, because it's not like a kid sits there and says, man, I really want some beet today. So beetroot's an unusual one. Color wise, I get it. But I mean, first of all, I want to buy these because I've got a lot of kids and they love pancakes. But beet, like, what made you come up with the different flavors? Blueberry makes total sense. Got it. But
Yeah.
Where did the beet come from and the pumpkin?
Well, I'm from the Caribbean. I grew up eating beets and carrots a lot. We drank a lot of beet juice and carrot juice.
Got it.
And strawberry was very acid, and raspberry powder. I'm still working on blending them with something, but I decided why not use the beet. It does have a unique taste, but it's not to deter kids. But guess what? My son still throws pancake syrup on it. He still puts sprinkles on it. So the kids are going to definitely,
Yeah, if you can get something good in them, that's great. Any way you can do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, opens up a whole new world for me. I'm thinking like Thai food pancakes, pizza pancakes, chocolate cake pancakes,
Well, she's trying to make them healthy.
Well, there's also a segment of the population that may.
But I know Kenya has something to say on this because Kenya's a health person.
And I love pancakes, by the way. They're like I can eat pancakes any time of day. It doesn't even matter. Breakfast for dinner. So what I was curious about is, what is your vision for the company? Like, so in 3 years from now, like, what does your brand look like? Where is it being sold? Like, what does that vision look like for you?
In 3 years, I will hope to be international. I really want to diverse as a person from the Caribbean. I also would like to bring out a gluten-free line. I have several friends who that is their diet, and I have send them already samples of gluten-free, and surprisingly, they came out well. So I've had good reviews there. It's just getting funding, making sure I can maintain the journey. And also I want to be kosher certified. I have friends who they sample it, without telling anyone, but they prefer it to be kosher certified. Fortunately, my supplier of the powders, there are also kosher certified and organic certified. So it's good.
Great.
Excellent. Well, unfortunately, we're coming to the end of our time, but it's Kickerfeast. So can you just real quick, how did you come up with the name in like 2 seconds?
Well, after trying for 3 months to think of a name, I just had a wow moment of, why don't we just kick off breakfast, lunch, and dinner with a feast? And when I Googled the domain name and saw it was available, I was in shock. I just grabbed it. There was no reason to not to. Excellent.
Well, everybody go to Kickerfeast, support our entrepreneur, buy her pancake mixes. I'm certainly going to try them. And that's what we're here for. So we'll be right back after these messages. You are listening to Passage to Profit, the Inventor Show on WR 710, the voice of New York.
Well, welcome back, everybody. What a fantastic show. We ran the full gambit tonight. Everything from empowering people to Bitcoin and cyber tokens, and finishing up with beautiful jewelry and incredibly delicious sounding pancakes.
Yeah, there was not a theme to this show.
The theme was no theme. You never know what you're going to get, but I enjoyed every minute of it. So
do you want to ask for final comments?
Yeah. So before we sign off, Sharon, do you have any final words for our audience?
Absolutely. I am just, just keep on keeping on, nobody can stop you when you're moving 90 miles an hour. And please don't take no from somebody who can't say yes.
Excellent.
Just don't. Just keep it moving, and your dreams will come true.
What a great sentiment and great advice. Douglas, do you have any final words for our audience?
I think I've learned some incredible things over this episode. I think that what I've learned from each of these three young ladies is that you've got to put yourself out there. You have an idea, you have a view. It means nothing if you just keep it to yourself. Lay the foundation and just get out there. And I think a lot of folks are always worried about, oh no, I can't, this is embarrassing, or I can't do this. A person on this podcast went out there and did it. And they pushed themselves to go out there. And that's the first move is to actually make the decision. Then it gets easier.
Good point. I couldn't agree more. And Kenya?
Yeah, I say if I had to pull together a theme for this pod, it would be, inclusivity and creativeness, right? I mean, everyone here contributed to that in some way, shape, or form. And it's opportunities that allow us the, ability to level up in life. So, everyone's contributions alluded to that today. And I was so happy to be a part of this show and this conversation.
As usual, Kenya, you managed to pull it all together. So thanks a lot.
She's our creative genius.
She is.
So our guest was the amazing Sharon Smith-Akinsankya. And if you want to find out more about her or find her, you can go to peopleofcolorcareers.com. You can go to boldlysharon.com, or you can find her book, Colorful: Competitive Strategies to Attract and Retain Top Talent of Color.
And I've seen the book all over the place. I've seen it on lots of different websites. It's widely read and you should take advantage of it.
And so for a little token of the future, or
usually the one I'm making, I'm the one that makes the dad jokes, but go ahead.
We had Douglas Borthwick, and it's not really a token, it's
Security.
it's a security.
It's a security.
Right. So with
And
INX, INX.co.
right.
And you have to listen to him explain the platform, but if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow your business and you need some funding, he's got an incredible idea for you.
This is the tip of the spear for technology and finance going forward into the millennium.
It's brand new stuff, and the first ones to jump on board are probably going to be rewarded pretty well.
Yeah,
that's usually what happens, right? And then we had our power move with Kenya Gibson of iHeartMedia. So Kenya Gibson with a P at iHeartMedia.com. As we said at the beginning, she helped she conceived of this show. She is very creative, an excellent creative marketing person.
She really is great to work with. And so if there's anybody out there that has digital marketing needs, I highly recommend the iHeart team. They know what they're doing and they've got all the latest technologies. Our firm has been using them for a long time and they're helping us kick butt. So
right. And then if you are in the market for jewelry, or you just want to splurge anyway, whether you're in the market or not.
That was a not so subtle hint, right?
Well, Mother's Day is coming up. So Anna Carolina Valencia, and that's her website, annacarolinavalencia.com. She is in Colombia, South America. Just has an amazing line of beautiful jewelry. So just go on our website and browse. And
yeah, and I mean it's really very pretty stuff. So, and
if you are trying to sneak fruits and vegetables into your diet,
or your kids' diet,
or your kids' diets, Carol Ann Carrington presented Kickerfeast. So kick off your meal with a feast. Pancakes that have fruits and vegetables in them that taste really good. And I'll tell you what, it'll get some nutrition into your kids.
Right. And I can't wait to try them either. So that's about it for us tonight. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching Passage to Profit. We really appreciate we appreciate our audience, and thanks for all the cards and letters and emails. We really appreciate that too. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our team, Noah Fleischman, who's our producer, Alicia Morrissey, who's our program coordinator, Angela Wolf, who does our video production. And don't forget to like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So for Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart, I'm Passage to Profit, iHeartRadio, WOR 710, the voice of New York. We'll see you next time.